Hey, welcome. I'm happy to have you along. I'm Charlie and you're at My Messy Fingers. I'm going to make another album and it is going to feature Bewitched by Prima. So I've gone through and selected the majority of my images so that when I get started to work on the pages that I've got them ready to go. But in the meantime, we need to make the album. If you want to make an album based on a method you're comfortable with, by all means. Just keep in mind when we insert the pages, I work with a 5/8 of an inch gusset so that there's plenty of room between the signatures for expansion and that they're not rubbing. I find that a 1/2 inch is just not wide enough for my tastes for that to happen. So just keep that in mind. So you'll need 2 pieces of chipboard, medium weight chipboard that measures 9 by 9. And we're gonna work with a 1 7/8 by 9 spine. I bind my chipboard using a shipping envelope or / product called Tyvek, Tyvek. Like I said, it's a shipping envelope. It's very resilient. It's plastic. I have not been able to tear this. So it makes, for me, an excellent source for putting on the outside of the album so that when this cardstock is laying on, goodness sakes, Charlie, when the cardstock is laying against the back side of the Tyvek, when it flexes, it's flexing over this, which minimizes tears and cracks. If this, I've seen it on the inside, but I don't see the purpose to that because you haven't protected this cardstock from the rough edge of the chipboard. So that's why I put my Tyvek to the outside so that, again, the cardstock can slide over it. So I cut my Tyvek in 2-inch wide widths by 8.5 inches. And then I come in and I score at 7/8 of an inch and then 1 1/8 of an inch on both of these so that I get a 1/4 inch gusset. I run my tape and then I'm going to put these on like so. That way we have that 1/4 inch gusset in between each of the panels. But I'm going to use a spacer that I have, and I have a few of them left on my website. But I'm going to use the spacer so that I can guarantee that these pieces come in even and the same width from the top to the bottom. I am going to start by removing the most internal piece, and then I am going to run this I cut it a 1/2 inch short, so I should have about a 1/4 of an inch on each end. Okay. Now I'm going to at the frayed ends of the chipboard. I didn't cut it that way. Came that way. All right, so now I've got my spacer in, and I am going to line this up here at the bottom on the grid and lay it down up against my spacer, and then I've got a nice evenly spaced gusset there. So we're going to do that on for this side as well. And I'm going to run this up the score line. That's my guide for that piece. And then I'm adding this piece in. Oh, I didn't take the tape off. No wonder that slid away. What a silly girl. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Nice and even. Let's turn it over, and I'm going to pull the rest of this paper out. Okay. A little bit of good burnish. All right, now I'm using black cardstock to wrap this. This is a 65-pound weight, and I get my cardstock at an online store called Cardstock Warehouse, and the black I'm using is out of their color plan section, and it's called Ebony. I wrapped with a 65-pound weight because it's available in this color. But I will do all the internal workings with 100-pound cover because it adds a level of sturdiness so that the weight of the signatures that are going to be added can handle it. All right, you're going to cut two pieces that are going to be 11 inches in height by 11.5 inches in width. Using 3/8 of an inch tape, I'm going to seam these two together. Follow that all the way up there. There's a little extra, but it'll work. Okay, so we're going to attach these two. And what I'm after is approximately an inch all the way around. So I've got an inch here, but I've got about 1 1/8 inches over here. So I can slide it just ever so much this way. So what I'm watching is this seam that's right here. I want this as centered here as possible so that there is equal pressure when the album is opened and closed. If you set that here, then it's right on top of the flex, and that's where you're going to have failure. If you put it here, you could have the same thing. If you find that you're placing a seam in here, it doesn't affect anything other than the appearance, because now you've got a seam where personally I don't like putting them. I want my front and back panels to be clean of seams. So to accomplish this, we're going to put tape all over the back of this, and we are going to run 1/2 inch tape all the way around the perimeter of this piece. So while I have it down here, I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. If you're making my album, you can do this in shorter strips if you wish. Okay, so give this a good burnish, and then we're going to set this aside so that we can put tape on the back side of this. And we're going to tape it down pretty good because this is where the cardstock's going to get adhered to, and I don't like seeing my cardstock do the wave look when it's being moved around. So I am going to put tape here on the ends of the chipboard. And then I'm going to come down here to this end in the middle. in the middle of each section. And the lines don't have to be perfect, they just need to be present. I'm going to put another row right here. I'm going to run one up the middle of the spine. And then another one here. Oh, I just ran out. And we're going to put one, repeat this process with putting tape on the end, in the middle, and the middle again. And then we're going to give that a good burnish, but just a second. Okay, so now we're going to center that. We're going to center this again. Make sure that this is in the middle as close as possible. And I want to see a 1/2 inch roughly around. Now I'm going to palm very firmly my left hand to hold it in place because I've got it where I want it. And then I'm going to take the backing off the spine. And then I'm going to give a good firm tug and I'm going to lay it down. Okay, now I can take the rest of this off. If you've built my albums before, you know what to do, but if this is new to you, please don't be in a hurry. I do need to explain something to you so you don't have album failure. This Tyvek is extremely flexible. So if you don't get a good hold on this, you could have it buckling or smushing in on itself. So you need to get a firm hold, lay it down, so that you maintain the integrity of that 1/4 inch hinge that we're building. And then you're going to repeat that for this side. Again, you're going to get a nice firm hold of this. You're going to give a good firm tug and you're going to lay it down. So let's get it burnished. Then I'm going to miter my corners. I am just not one that can cut and have this 1/8 of an inch. I never can make it right. So I use this tool, which I'm sure that a lot of you have tools that you use to miter, but if you are good with your eyesight and your hand and measurement and you can do it without the guidance, I'm proud of you because I can't do it. Okay. All right, now this being 65-pound cardstock, I'm going to move this a little bit closer. It's going to be a lot easier to break the fiber in the paper so that we can burnish it over. Oh, I forgot something. Goodness sakes, Dolly. I forgot. We need to put 3/8 here on the inside along the chipboard base. all the way around, because this strip of tape is what's going to make contact with this black space, 1/2 inch space that we've got here. And then the last strip. Okay, we'll give it a good burnish. All right, now, this is how I caught myself. We're going to pull these 2 ends back about 1 inch and fold them so that they're tucked out of the way. I'm not ready to pull the entire strip because I don't want to be sticking to it. We're going to pull this out. And then we're going to pull this off. And then we're going to flex this to encourage that fiber to bend. And now on 65-pound weight, it is really easy to do. Then we're going to pinch our corners in. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do this other end. And then we'll do the long sides at the same time. Again, we're going to flex and then fold it over, pinch in our corners. All right, now I'm going to work with the piece that's up here on the top. Give it a good flex, and then starting in the middle, lay it down, and then burnish to your corners. Nice corner there. Okay, we're going to turn this around, and we're going to repeat that process. In the middle, and then we're gonna, nice corners. Okay, now this section in here, it's got tape on it. I want this as down into this hinge as much as possible. So I'm using a tool that has a rounded edge because I don't want to perforate my paper, because if you do a tear, your only option is to glue it. And depending upon the glue you use, it will either hide it nicely or, well, you're going to cover this so it doesn't matter. But we're going to do this again when we get another piece added here for the spine. And I'm focusing on identifying this edge on both sides when I'm pushing this down in here, because that will come in handy here in a little bit. All right. Now, this piece is going to measure 6 inches wide by 8 3/4 in the height, so that when you set this in here, you're going to have about 1/8 of an inch top to bottom. And you'll space this so that it looks about like this. But we need to get some tape on this so that the panel piece will stay down. So I'm adding tape to each side of the chipboard only. No sense in going up into the cardstock section because the 1/2 inch tape that's on this will take care of this. Okay, I'm going to add, come out about 1/2 inch, add another strip, come out about 1/2 inch, add another strip. Okay. So now when you look at this, you'll have about 1/2 inch here on each end. That's what you're going to use to guide yourself with. And then we're going to come in here, add, like I said, so that you've got 1/8 of an inch top to bottom. So I am going to take this off first. I don't want to deal with a whole lot of tape while I'm setting this piece. About 1/8 of an inch. Should be, I need to move this up just a hair more. Okay. Now I am not going to burnish this tape into the cardstock. I am going to just let it, this piece kind of lay down and do its thing, but I'm not going to worry about burnishing it yet because we need to burnish in to the hinge, and I want this to remain a tad bit flexible. Come on. Okay, so just kind of tacking it, and then I'm going to fold this and find the seams. And then I'm going to start to burnish this down inside here. And again, I want to identify the edges of the chipboard. I'm going to lay this back down, and then we're going to burnish. We got nice clean corners there. Okay, so now the internal pages, you're going to cut two that are going to measure 9 3/8 in your width and 8 3/4 in the height. The height of this will match this piece, so it goes from this end to this end. You'll score 5/8 of an inch, and then on the attachment, you see this edge right here that identified the chipboard in here. That's what we're going to match this up to. We're going to come off of it about 1/16 of an inch, because I don't want this seam right on that hinge line. I just want to come back about 1/16, line it up, and I would gently tack, and I hope this is going to lay. All right, so see, it cantered up to the top, so that means I've got to lower this corner. Okay, I need to take this completely off. It just did not sit in there the right way. Not happy with it. I don't know if I can save this tape or not. Okay, so I want this. So they've got about, okay, let's see if I can do this now. Much better. Much better, but now I need to snip out some of these tears. It happens. But when I'm done, it's not going to be seen. Okay, now the next one. We'll snug right up next to this edge right here. And hopefully it will lay down where it's supposed to. It looks like it did. Just a gentle rub. Oh, look at that. I'm so happy. Now I can burnish this in place. And there we have it. Now, I'm not covering these panels because it's a waste of cardstock. There's a signature that's going to go in over this on both sides. And if you look at this, you've got, this is our hinge. You've got 5/8 there. You have 5/8 here. I need to burnish that down there just a little bit more. And then when you open this up, here's your hinge, and you've got 5/8 spread here. Okay, that's it. We're done. We'll come back and we'll start covering the outside of this. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.